everybody, I'm Steve Outtrim. Welcome to episode 6 of CryptoBeast, a world of infinite love and abundance. It's the 17th of January 2018, where I am anyway, in Auckland, New Zealand. And all around the world, there's panic in the crypto markets, and blood, carnage, weeping and wailing, the lamentation of the women and the men and the in-betweens. Everybody doesn't know what to do. Well, I thought I'd make a bit of a CryptoBeast episode to give you my thoughts at least. It's not financial advice, but you can think of it as life advice if you like. I've got a pretty happy life. I've always had a pretty happy life, and I've also worked very hard. But from a very early age, I decided that I didn't really want to be part of the 9-to-5 world. I had all kinds of part-time jobs, from delivering newspapers and junk mail when I was a kid. I worked in a deli. I worked for many years, even when I was at college, in a department store in the retail world. And I also worked for the tax office of New Zealand for a very brief time. My last job when I was 22 was working for an Italian restaurant, a very successful couple of restaurants in Melbourne, Australia, where I did the books and everything that wasn't cooking or front of house or cleaning, so the computer stuff. That was my job, and ever since then I've been my own boss since 22. That's what I wanted, and I've always had the privilege in life of being able to choose when I wanted to work and what I wanted to do and the type of projects that I wanted to work on. But when you do make those decisions, there are moments that come where, you know, it's the choice isn't up to you. It's like the universe is putting situations in front of you that you then have to deal with. And so for some people, a dramatic and rapid drop in crypto prices is a situation that you have to deal with, and it's very serious. It could be very stressful, and you're talking to your friends, your family, all the people that you've been promoting crypto to, and now they're probably pointing at you saying, look, oh my God, I told you it was all a scam. Well, it isn't a scam. And you know, the people that have been in crypto world for a while, they're sort of used to this. From my own perspective, I bought Bitcoin in 2013. It was $500 a Bitcoin, and you might think, "Wow, that was a great deal." But the thing is, it immediately dropped to half that value, and it was at $250 for the next 2 years. You know, so it was really only in the beginning of 2017 that this stuff has reached enough of a critical mass that people have realised, wow, there's potential. And what we saw last year was incredible hype, incredible excitement. It just reminded me so much of the internet in the 1990s. And what I remember from back then is it went in a series of waves. And, you know, there was an initial wave of the World Wide Web, and I was lucky enough to get on the first wave. But it built up and there was a crash. And that crash, I'd say, was probably, 97, 98. You know, take a look at this chart, the rise and fall of the NASDAQ index. And you can see that probably about the middle of 1997, things had just been like on a big upwards tear. It's like, wow, this internet thing is huge. Netscape has gone public. Sausage Software has gone public. Wow. But, you know, there was a crash, and the market, you know, it slid back, but it didn't last very long. Then it bounced up again. And then you can see towards the end of 1998, there was what at the time seemed to be a pretty significant crash. You know, it pulled back. It couldn't get past the 2,000 mark, and so it pulled back. It looked like it was going to go all the way to 1,000 and, you know, maybe 1,500 or so. And people were panicking at that time, like, oh, that's it. It shows that the internet's a load of bullshit. The internet's all over. It'll be no big deal. And then, as you can see from there, we bounced back up, and it ran up all the way to 2,000, which is called this dot-com bubble, right? And Alan Greenspan, who was the head of the Federal Reserve, the chairman, you know, he said on December the 5th, 1996, he warned of irrational exuberance in the markets. And that was actually kind of like a buy signal, I guess, for, you know, the secret banksters and secret societies in the know, because the market from those comments just went up massively. But then it crashed and it bounced back. And the interesting thing about looking at this chart going back to the dot-com crash of 2000, which personally affected me financially enormously. You know, I lost half of my net worth immediately, but fortunately for me, I'd been able to sell out of almost everything of my tech company by that time. So I saw others around me who had been my peers, or, you know, people that were much wealthier than me, instantly, you know, rendered into nothingness because they were forced to sell. And you have to remember, with all of this stuff, right, you only lose money when you sell. And look, sometimes that's good to do, so cut your losses, but cryptocurrency is extremely volatile. And for professional traders, okay, you might be attracted to the volatility, and maybe you can do well. But just bear in mind, this isn't like the stock market yet, where there's the level of liquidity that you have for major stocks, and there's not the same type of protection with call and put options and stop loss trading built into instant, near real time electronic trading platforms. You don't have that stuff here yet, and so as a strategy, I personally think trading is fraught with danger. I really like the strategy of Etherical. Buy low, sell high. If you look at my post on Steemit about the 30 best performing cryptocurrencies of 2017, I went by coinmarketcap.com, the opening and closing price, and I looked at the top 30 by market cap. And Bitcoin was number 24. So as well as Bitcoin did last year, it's by no means the top performing altcoin. In fact, its performance isn't even that impressive by the standard of the top 20 altcoins. So, and there are now hundreds of altcoins coming out every single month. So does this crash mean crypto is dead? Absolutely not. I mean, people who've been in this space are used to hodling and riding these waves. And so if you don't sell, just go away. Go away, leave the computer for even just for a week. Go spend some of your Bitcoin on a vacation. There's a lot of people new to the market who perhaps are thinking about this like the stock market and panic selling. But you have to realize that these things are not like stocks. So, if a company like Amazon announces a much greater loss that was forecast to the stock market, an unexpected, loss of tens of billions of dollars or something, that will affect the stock price, and the stock price will go down. And for all the stocks, it's basically, this is the same mechanism. Quarterly financial reporting of the performance of the business, the price is going up and down based on that. And then there's also a component of just demand, like retail demand, where people aren't even looking at the financials of these businesses. They just buy the stock anyway. And so some of the top performing stocks, like the Apples of the world, have got into people's consciousness enough that people love using Apple. They love using Amazon. They do that every day. They love using Facebook. So buy stock in that. And, for a certain number of companies, they can tap into that, where it's the laws of supply and demand. And so as the demand is growing, the price increases. Well, this is one key difference with cryptocurrency, right? Because it's all about the laws of supply and demand. These coins are not tied to the performance of the business. Nobody knows. There is no business behind most of the coins. What they're tied to is demand, and the supply is fixed in almost all cases, but the demand is increasing. And the laws of economics, this is Economics 101, says that if supply is fixed and demand is increasing, price goes up. And that's what we've been happening. And in fact, what's been happening has been exceeding the predictions that classical economic models would have made. And so in some ways this freaks economists out. But going back to Alan Greenspan and talking about his irrational exuberance and like this is a bubble, if you fast forward 10 years later, he's known as like the father of the bubble economy. And he basically has admitted that that's the model of the Federal Reserve. Keep dumping more money on the market and push, inflating these bubbles, backed by more and more debt. Eventually, in the old financial system, there has to be a reckoning of that debt going to the market. But in this new financial system, there doesn't. There doesn't. I mean, where are the banksters? Where are the debt? I mean, they're in there buying and selling, and people with massive amounts of capital are able to affect the price of cryptocurrencies. And another thing I'd like to point out is that most of these altcoins, you buy them, if it's post-ICO, you buy it on exchanges. And when you're buying and trading from exchanges like Binance, I'll leave a link to my Binance referral in the comments if people want to sign up for this one. And Coinbase is a good way to get into Bitcoin in the first place. I'll leave a link for that as well. But if you're buying and selling altcoins at Binance, I encourage you to get involved and have a try, because you don't need to have like one Bitcoin for $10,000 to be a Bitcoin investor. You can buy $50 of Bitcoin. But when you look at it realistically, the transaction costs in buying $50 of Bitcoin, maybe that's going to be $20. So it's not worth it. If you can buy a coin that is just a few cents for that $50, you get thousands, tens of thousands of coins, right? And if those coins, when people look at CoinMarketCap, the top 100 coins, there's almost nothing that's under $1. And some investors are going through and looking for anything that's under $1, and I'll buy that because I get more coins. And this is the dynamic that drives demand. It might not make sense to you. It might not make sense in a traditional economic model, but this is just what's happening. So if you can actually understand what's really happening, then you realize, well, is demand going away? And one way that you can verify that is you can go and have a look at transaction volume of these cryptocurrencies. And it's freaking mind-blowing, I've got to tell you. crypto kitties changed the world. If you have a look at the graph of Ethereum and what happened from, the beginning of December 2017, Ethereum transactions, boom, to the moon, like they say, Lambos. This thing's fucking skyrocketing. And it's not just the transactions on the Ethereum network. Your transactions on Bitcoin network are still growing. It's just they're not growing as quickly as Ethereum. And Ethereum has now surpassed Bitcoin. This is the #1 network for cryptocurrency transactions. So we've got two major coins. Now, Ethereum at $1,000, could that go to $10,000 like Bitcoin? Yeah, absolutely. Could it go to $0? How the fuck is it going to go to $0 when you look at the amount of transactions that are happening on it? Like, this thing has proven it's working, right? And it's not about, a government might regulate and none of us can have this anymore. I mean, we saw all of that in 2017. What we're seeing, as the last American Vagabond pointed out in a great episode today, there's a distinct correlation between when a particular government comes out and says, that's it, we're cracking down on crypto, and boom, there's like a huge, huge drop in the crypto price. And when Bitcoin and Ethereum drop, because all of the other altcoins are priced in that currency on exchanges, that takes them all down as well. But the dynamic of that, pay attention to the dynamic of that, because the powers that be and the big hands, the whales, they're going to be moving in the Bitcoin Cash, Ethereum space, right? Because they know that by manipulating the price of that, they can affect everything in the market. But there is a little bit of a disconnect that when Bitcoin and Ethereum recover, and so their price starts going back up again, and if you look at the chart, it's volatility, right? It goes down, it goes up, and it swings a lot. So when it swings back up a lot, there's a moment, a window of time where I think a smart investor can look at these altcoins and say, this thing's been hammered down, but it doesn't deserve to be, because demand is growing and because transactions are growing. And you pay attention to that as a trader, as an investor. Diversify out of some of these bigger coins and into some of the smaller coins where you're getting more coins for your buck, and pay attention to this idea that it can go from cents to dollars, because that's what 16 million, 20 million people in the market now doing this are doing. Now, when everyone's grandma is in the cryptocurrency space, is that still going to be what's driving trading sentiment? I very much doubt that. But that kind of brings me to the main point of this episode, which is a world of infinite love and abundance. And there's just so much more to what is going on with this cryptocurrency revolution than money and trading. I mean, the blockchain is about a lot more than that. It's something that all of us can share, all of us can trust. And, how can it be manipulated by the powers that be? Well, the prices and the monetary aspect of it, that can manipulate it. But the transactions and what gets written to it, they can't manipulate that, right? Look, that's fixed and immutable. And so that's an amazing development in the world of computing. And when you think that the internet was, built out of the Pentagon, it's a weapon system, and it's been used as an electronic net that's been cast around the world. But that doesn't make it a bad thing. I love the internet. I'm part of the people that have helped bring the internet to the world for more than 20 years of my life now. And this financial technology is just a whole new revolution, right? And it's not just about the banking and finance world. So let me give you an example of that. Yesterday, I was involved in a new technology called GEMS, GEMS.org. And their idea is to build a mechanical Turk, which was an Amazon invention, decentralized mechanical Turk on the blockchain. And so apparently there used to be this robot that would go around and play against the world's greatest chess players. And this is like the 18th century. It turned out it wasn't a real robot. There was a chess master behind the scenes that was, calling the moves in and actually playing the games. And so I guess this is what inspired Jeff Bezos to call his thing Mechanical Turk, but this thing is called GEMS. And the basic idea is that, crowdsource the work, the task load, and so certain tasks, like let's say you've done a national mathematics exam and there are 700,000 students have all answered the same multi-choice questions, and you need to grade those papers, right? Now, certain types of exam where it's A, B, C, D, E, F, a computer can automatically grade those papers, no problem. But other things where, they have to describe the way they're thinking or how they came to that conclusion or whatever, that needs human analysis. But, one teacher or a room of teachers, 100 teachers doing this stuff, processing it, it's a massive, massive workload. But if you can distribute that out to the internet where 1 million people can do it, and each one spends 10 minutes on it and can look at 20, 30 papers in 10 minutes, and they get paid $50 for that, right? Throw that to the internet, boom, it instantly gets done. And think about how many jobs there are in the world that could, require just a small bit of interaction, but the robots, at least at this time, are not going to be as good at it as the humans. And so that's where I think we have to go. What can we do where we can still be better than the robots? And in terms of trading the stock market, currencies, commodities, precious metals, any of that, I don't think we can be better at it than the robots. I think real estate is an area right now where definitely humans, it requires a human touch. You buy an old house and you do it up and make it look fantastic into something that you think will sell to people. But that doesn't mean that there isn't a massive amount of artificial intelligence and machine learning already being applied to the real estate world and likely to go there in the future. But I think there's still a window to do that. But what GEMS is anyone that can do a task on a computer can get paid in cryptocurrency for doing the task. Now, another one that is, I think, an even more revolutionary idea than that is Presearch. Go to presearch.io. And these guys are taking on Google. Google, as Julian Assange has said, is based on surveillance capitalism, that we get the service from them for free and they get to record everything there is about us and to pass it on to government agencies, to advertisers, to use it themselves, to target products at us. And do our lives really get any better from advertisers having all of our most intimate personal data? It doesn't seem that way. So I think that a shift is going to happen away from this old model where we get everything for free but secretly others are making money from it, to the model where we get paid for everything. And Presearch is a fantastic example of that. How do you beat Google at their own game? Search. Well, you pay people to search. So you just search for things on Presearch and you get cryptocurrency. I mean, this is amazing. It's amazing. It's revolutionary. Another one to look at is called Fish Bank, and you may have heard of CryptoKitties. Well, that came and went. That's a month ago, that idea. Now we have this thing, Fish Bank, which is the latest virtual pet breeding, fighting, trading one. And so this interplay of games and monetization, where just by playing games, people are going to be able to earn money. Like a whole new living might be, trade some Fish Bank and some CryptoKitties for an hour a week, and then the rest of the time do whatever you want. This has been the promise of technology from Charles Babbage. From the beginning visions of mechanization and automation. It was, the machine can free man from the yoke of this, having to work in factories and in fields and these hard kind of poverty-inducing conditions. Because of robots and machines, we should move to a world of abundance, right? And so the promise is there, but in the beginning at least, it isn't going to go to everybody in the world. So it's those who move first and move quickest and realize that this isn't about trading on things like stocks that go up and down and getting in on the latest bubble. This is like a truly permanent revolution, to where we the people, the tools of abundance, they're directed towards us. They're not held in a dark room or a cave by some Luciferian bankster cult or anything like that. This is for all the people on the blockchain. It's available to anyone. And the blockchain isn't racist. It doesn't discriminate. It doesn't discern. Anyone can participate. You don't even need to have English as your first language to be a participant in the blockchain at all. It's an amazing, amazing revolution. And you don't have to learn how to code. You do have to learn how to get a wallet and use a private key and, keep those keys safe. A few things that, when you're doing it the first time, you might think, oh my God, this is all too hard. How do I do it? But, you've got to think deeper than this, like the internet. The people who saw early on that the internet, had potential and was going to transform the world, those people were able to become very successful. What I have been lucky enough to do was, I didn't just make money, but I could choose early from the beginning of my entrepreneurial career at 22, I could choose the lifestyle that I wanted to live, and then I could do the work that was necessary to lead me to that lifestyle. And those choices at the time weren't always easy to make, and one of the biggest things was the social pressure of people around me, which now that I'm a bit older and more established, that's gone for me. And I can take certain kinds of risks, but at the same time, when you have a family, you don't take the same risks that you used to do when you were young and single and just starting out. So whatever your situation, you just have to kind of work out the strategy that's best for you. And I'm not talking about an investment strategy. I'm talking about a life strategy. How can I look at the blockchain as something to integrate in my life in new ways. I'd be looking for those ideas because there's opportunity in that, not just for financial abundance, but for an abundance of happiness. The computer is supposed to be a tool to make our dreams come true. And the potential is here, it's coming back. And there's just such an incredible explosion of innovation in this space. You just want to get involved and you want to find the people that are involved. Go to Steam It. I'm always talking about Steam It, and you can find me on Steam It at Steve Outtrim, and some people are like, oh, I'm sick of hearing about Steam It, because all the people who are on it and have got it are like, oh my God, this thing's amazing, you've got to try it. And you really do, but there's going to be more Steam Its. Kim.com has his BitCache coming out, and people are already going to DTube and DLive, where you can go and you can record a video and share it, or you can go write a post like a Facebook post, and people will pay you. They'll pay you because they like it, and they'll share it. And when you share it, it gets shared and it gets read widely. You get paid and you get more money. Like, this is all the stuff that you're already doing. Facebook, Twitter, platforms like that. Suddenly you're actually getting paid for doing it. And if you focus on it enough, if you look at the basic essentials of cryptocurrency being supply and demand, and the supply is fixed of certain things, but the content-based ones, whereby you supplying more content, you get more cryptocurrency. You're in control of that mechanism of supply. And then the demand, there's things you can do to build your demand. And that's an episode or two for another day. But sticking to the world of infinite love and abundance that's coming to us, how can you tap into infinite abundance? Is it a matter of just choosing the right cryptocurrency to buy low and sell high, like Etherical says? Well, yeah, sure, you could do that, and Etherical is a fantastic way for you to get involved with this if you don't want to go to the trouble of reading every white paper and assessing which altcoin that's coming out is going to be better than the next one. But I think as a general strategy, a good way to look at this is rather than you put your life savings into cryptocurrency, you look at the money that you've got coming in from your job, from whatever else, other sources of money you have. Can you get some of that every month? Just put it aside, and you're just going to buy some cryptocurrency with that every single month. And you're not going to look too much at the prices. You're just going to look at when it comes to, you've got that next month coming and it's time to buy, what looks like it's a good price to buy. And right now, if you're sitting there with a stack of cash, cryptocurrency looks amazing to buy, and there's some amazing buying opportunities. But if you don't think of it that way, if you're just like, every single month I'm going to be buying some more and I'm going to hang on to it. From time to time, if I need money, I'll look at what's done well, what can I sell, I'll get some money back out of. But basically your savings becomes this, rather than sitting in a bank account where you might make 3 to 5% per year, if you're lucky, for cash that you can't spend. You put this cryptocurrency in, and you think about, which ones you're getting into that have that rising demand, and so are likely over the course of the year to go up. And of the top 30 cryptocurrencies, there was one called Bitcoin Gold, and that went down, but everything else went up. And the bottom of the list went up 270% in a year. So that's not 1% a day, because 1% a day cumulative would end up being more than that. But most of them did go up more than 1% a day, and some of them went up, 1,000,000% a year. So just if you can, over the course of 3 or 5 years, where every month you've been able to put a little bit aside, it doesn't have to be a lot of money to get in this space. Like, could you do it with $5? Yeah, you could do it with $5 per month, right? I mean, that's like a cup of coffee. That's even less than a cup of coffee. In San Francisco, avocado toast is $18 to $20 now, Like, for that one slice of avocado toast per month, put that into crypto, over 3 to 5 years, you're going to end up with like a really nice looking portfolio. It's not just about turning your fiat money from the old broken financial system, an untrustworthy financial system that really is not backed by anything, right? Bitcoin, at least, it's backed by, it's a perfect mathematical, fixed supply. Like, that's it. There will only be so many Bitcoins, 21 million, like, ever. It's built into the thing, right? And then it gets assisted by bonuses, like the thing forks and everyone gets more coins, woohoo, bonus. Like, they just keep thinking of new ways that people can make money from cryptocurrency, and that is backing in itself. But even more than that is, you've got to look at this transaction volumes. Like, okay, what's a Visa card backed by? It's a piece of plastic. well, no, I can use it at hundreds of millions of terminals around the world, and it's accepted as a form of payment. So they're backed by that. Well, look at these transaction volumes. Look at these transaction volumes going on the blockchain. Like, we're already above the Visa network, and it's just rising unbelievably quickly. So this thing isn't going anywhere any more than the internet is going anywhere. And, even the internet was designed to withstand an electromagnetic pulse attack or some form of attack that, will do a lot of damage to the system. The internet will survive it. And just like that, the blockchain will survive it. Like, as long as there is one computer somewhere with a blockchain and then another computer that can come and confirm it, the blockchain can be recreated, and they're putting it into the space. And I'll guarantee you that there's blockchains going on deep underground, and I'm sure that there's blockchains minings underwater happening. If I was a submarine guy, I'd just go mine some crypto in my submarine just to say that there was underwater mining going on. So, the dudes that have private jets with their freaking Bitcoin miners going would not surprise me in the least. I know the people in California who go into Tesla dealerships where it's free electricity from the superchargers, and they just plug their Tesla in all day with 10 Bitcoin mining rigs running on it. So anything's possible in this world of crypto, but you don't have to go to those lengths. The things you're doing now using Facebook, go to Steam it. The things you're doing now using Google, go to Presearch. And if you've got a business or you've got some chores you want done, you need some help and some tasks done, go to Gems when that comes out. Or if you need some money, go to Gems and do those tasks for people, and you get paid crypto. So, it's not just about the financial system, what you can put away. It's how can I accumulate the stuff. How can I produce it? And, are there things I can do where someone might pay me in this stuff? That's a way to accumulate it. Whether that's someone as a software platform or as a person in your real life. And this is what the World Wide Web was. This is how, my first success came from a program called Hot Dog that people used to make web pages. And back in the day, because it became really easy for someone to get Hot Dog and learn how to make a web page, and the internet was exploding. People were like, oh my God, I need a web page. And this guy's like, well, I've got Hot Dog, I can make a web page, so I'll charge you $500. And they're like, oh, fantastic, yeah. And so they go to the next guy, oh, I'll charge you $1,000. Oh, fantastic, yeah. And suddenly people who were just, sitting around the house on the computer unemployed, the parents were like, oh, when are you going to do something with your life, Because of this thing, the internet and the World Wide Web, they could instantly monetize themselves, and they found they had the right skills at the right time for the new world that everybody wanted to get into. And that's what's happening now. And it's not a world where it's tied to quarterly reporting and employee share bonuses and even profits. It's a world tied to demand, and that means that we, the people, are in charge. So what do people love? Look for what do people love on the blockchain, and what do people love in the world? And are there areas where those things are intersecting? And are there areas where abundance is being created? Because that's the world that we're in now. We're not even shifting to it. It's 2018. We are in this world. And it's happening. It's unfolding all around us, as it's been promised for a very long time. So I think it's a wonderful time in crypto. Don't panic. Don't sell. HODL. Learn the meaning of HODL. It's like a roller coaster. It goes up and down. Just, these are the times you go for a walk in the park or take a bike ride or drink a big glass of water. And just chill out, just chill out, relax, enjoy life, learn about, consider what your next move will be, whatever, because these markets will come back because the transactions are still growing and the demand is still growing, and it's as simple as that. Thanks very much.